As a game that's been running for 5 years, Dragon Ball Legends has had so many banners released over that time span, including some amazingly memorable and hype releases like Ultra Instinct Goku or the original Gogeta Blue release, and so many more. But for today's video, I wanted to take a deep dive into the previous Legends Festivals and give you guys my ultimate plan for the perfect Legends Festival 2023. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's hop right in. Legends Festival wasn't always the behemoth of a celebration we know it as today. Originally, we would only get side banners like Legends Ultimate Celebration or Update Celebration or Thank You 2019, Hello 2020, and then there was some loose stuff that was very hype around the new year because they like to try to capitalize on that time period anyway, and we got the Super Saiyan 4s released for the first time. Now, when Legends Festival really took off and started getting its own namesake was with the release of Ultra Instinct Goku here. So this banner, I want to take a deep dive or a step back and take a look at it here. So if you're wondering when Legends Festival 2023 will begin, well, here you go. Just after Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving, in that period. It also is possible that the banner releases at a time like 7 p.m. as you see here that we're not really accustomed to when it comes down to the releases of the banners. So just keep that in mind as well. And the step up format was very different back then, so we're not going to talk much about that. But if you want to see me do a video talking about the massive changes to step up summons over the years, be sure to hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below. All right, so looking at this banner, we have 4 Sparkings, one of which is Ultra Instinct Goku, the Legends limited character, and an EX. And that was followed up by Gogeta and Broly's releases. So this may have been, I think, the peak for me for Legends. Not that I'm out of it or fallen out of it, but this time period was so insanely hype, going from Ultra Instinct to Gogeta Blue and Broly. That was crazy. So let me know in the comments down below what your favorite time period for Legends was. So these banners released in 2020, and as you see here, this one started just right a little bit before Christmas, so keep that in mind. Now we move on to the following year where we get just a couple of days this time, a couple of days before Thanksgiving. So basically that week, it just depends on what the day falls, right? So a couple of days before Thanksgiving if you celebrate, but basically at the end of November, so in just a few weeks basically. We got the release of Step Up Call of Hope, which is Trunks, and we also had our first ever tag character, Goku and Vegeta, with another edition of Broly and Gogeta returning and some stuff like that. And I believe this was followed up by the Super Gogeta release, but I don't have the actual banner info, so I'm pretty sure this followed up shortly thereafter in the beginning of the next year. So Legends Festival is a very ingrained celebration in the community. We love Legends Festival, right? So let's go ahead and talk about what I think they could do for this year. Before I do that, I should probably mention that we did also obviously have Legends Festival last year, which was these couple of step-up banners with the Super Saiyan 4s and then the Vegeta and Trunks, and then that was followed up by, I believe, Ultra Gogeta Blue. So yeah, he's not showing here because the Ultra banners are listed a little bit differently, but nonetheless, I'm pretty sure he followed up shortly thereafter. So if you're wondering when this started last year, it was actually on the 24th. So again, just depends when the day falls, but the 23rd, 24th, 25th are dates that we've seen, and they've all released at 7 p.m. So yeah, it's going to release earlier than usual in terms of actual time on the clock. So first things first with Legends Festival 2023, we just got Super Janemba released, and I am expecting an Ultra in the celebration. Now here's the deal with Ultra releases. I don't know exactly their time period on these. They've been kind of inconsistent. They started doing them basically every month and pushed that to every month and a half. And then there was a pretty big draft of about 3 months between this character and Vegeta Blue. So anyway, he released in the middle of October, and he's already almost a month old in about a week and a half. So what that means is that for part 2 of Legends Festival, that would line up nicely, and you know they're going to want to rake in those bucks with an Ultra release. So what I'm expecting is an Ultra that's probably going to be something along the lines of a very hype character that could be very well known and that people will be looking forward to. Early indications, because I think it's, again, still too early to really pinpoint anything, is I'm going to throw a couple of bones here. I think it's possible that we get a Goku and Vegeta from the Tournament of Power. I also think it's possible that we see our first ever Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta Ultra, and I want to know what you guys think in terms of the Ultra release. Now, that's just way off into the future for part 2 of the celebration, but then the question is, well, what do we lead with? And I want to kind of take it back a step, like I said. Now, part 1 and part 2 definitely don't have to correlate. Like I was saying, if we take a look back here, this doesn't really relate to this. It just is what it is. We look at 2021, we have this and this. There's no relation here other than it being the broad sense of Dragon Ball Super, and then we get Gogeta, and then following that up, the next year we have the Trunks and Vegeta, and then we also have Super Saiyan 4 GT stuff, so it doesn't have to correlate with anything else. They run dual celebrations, they run whatever they want, but there are multiple teams that they typically come back to, and it just is what it is, right? So I wanted to go ahead and say, I think that this Legends Festival could be really, really, really interesting. I wouldn't hold out any sort of possibility that you think could happen, because I think that there are many ways they can tackle this celebration to try to make it feel unique. They could do stuff like they did with Pikkon and Janemba, where it's two characters in one that are not like Goku and Vegeta, two Saiyans, anything like that. It's Pikkon and freaking Gogeta. That type of a character is not something that they've ever done before, and it totally opens the door for funny combinations or wonky combinations that may or may not make sense. Apparently they're not updated to be on this page yet on this site. Anyway, it could open the door for some other combinations that may or may not make sense. Like, I don't know, Fusion Zamasu and Vegito Blue. They could do that if they really, really wanted to. Oh, that rhymed, didn't it? They could do some crazy stuff. Now, I don't think they would do that, like the antagonist and the hero. Although that could be kind of cool because it would remind me of Versus cards from One Piece Treasure Cruise. If you know what I'm talking about, leave a like. So they could do stuff like that. They could also do Vegito Blue and Gogeta Blue. They could do Super Vegito, Gogeta. They could do all types of stuff now, right? And I think that that's really, really cool. We already had, by the way, like Gohan and Piccolo. So I guess that's the next closest thing, but it's not really the same, because with that you start off as both of them and then you just turn into one of them as opposed to one and one. So anyway, yeah, I think that that's also a thing. Also, I've said for a long time that I think that the tag system is almost like a beta version of what I have been hoping for this and the assist system to be, where they just turn into one character. There's probably something on the back end that inhibits their ability to turn these characters into a transforming character. But by God, man, Pikkon and Gogeta is like the closest thing that I could imagine that they could produce outside of just flat out saying, okay, here's Goku and Vegeta that turn into Gogeta as a revival. Like that's the closest thing that I could see, because in my brain, it doesn't make any sense why they can't do it. But again, maybe there's something on the back end, but this could also be the year that they do it because they figured out how perfectly to implement it. Also, I think there's a possibility that, like Dokkan, Legends tries to push some original animations. So if you guys didn't see what Dokkan did recently, they've been doing it for a while, and Legends sometimes does their own stuff with like villain LFs where they have to kind of spin off and remix some stuff. But if you didn't see, Dokkan did that Future Gohan Super Attack animation. They did some stuff with Vegito Blue recently too. I wouldn't be surprised if Legends tries to do their own spin on something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce a character that has their own original animations, and that, again, puts a fresh spin on releasing the same character we've seen 30 times. I also wouldn't be surprised if Legends decides to finally give us some fun stuff from the original of the story, like Shallot and, well, I said Shallot, but I don't mean Ought, I mean It. You know, the fusion? I wouldn't be surprised if they gave us, instead of Shallot, or another variation of Giblet or things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did these things for us. Those are all things I think that are on the table, because as a game gets older, they're going to try to spruce it up. They're trying to keep it relevant, etc. So anyway, those are things I wanted to throw out there as possibilities. Let me know what you guys think about some of those things. I think that those are all opportunities that DBL has to produce some exciting stuff. So let's get back to more of the nitty-gritty, run-of-the-mill stuff you would probably expect from this type of video. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys, if you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe and share the video with your friends if they're interested in Legends Festival and want to know when it is and what we'll probably be getting. Odds are something I'm saying in this video will wind up happening, in which, if it does, you can come back and comment, hey, DFree, you were right. That totally isn't an ego boost, I swear. Anyway, GT. GT is that child that Legends has that is totally neglected. They come back to this team like once a year and decide that they're going to put something in it and then just kind of leave it. In fact, I don't know that they've gotten any Zenkais this year. They got Super Saiyan Vegeta, the baby. I don't really know what they did with these guys. Super 17. I don't think any of these guys came out in 2023. Correct me if I'm mistaken. I think that was all 2022, leading up to Legends Festival. But now when we look at it, their most recent releases are a year old. So I think that we could see GT getting some stuff. And this isn't really like a tie-in to the part 2 that I'm expecting, which again could be Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4, a couple other things that could possibly happen, but nonetheless, it's not really to tie in. It's more so the fact that GT, if they're going to put something there, will need something. And you know why Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 also kind of would make sense is because Fusion Warrior has been slowly but surely getting some more introductions released to their grouping, like Super Saiyan Blue Vegito for the anniversary. That obviously still counts, right? We got the Pycon, who is totally not being sold as a Gogeta character. They're slowly getting some stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these or two of these LFs or whatever get a Zenkai / equipment like Super Saiyan Blue or the old Super Saiyan 4. I wouldn't be surprised if, well, he already has an equipment, but you get my point. I wouldn't be surprised if these characters start getting more buffs. We also got a Zenkai for the green Gogeta. So Fusion War, I think, is a team that's kind of primed already to start getting more releases, and they could also give Gogeta, or Vegeta Blue, excuse me, more support with another Gogeta release, and that's just how I think things could potentially go. So outside of that, though, GT is heavily neglected, and I don't think it's particularly fair for GT fans. Let me know how you guys feel about it. But I have to say that I've said over the years, and I'll have to say it again, maining GT as your main team in this game, if you're trying to be competitive, is probably the worst decision you can make. It's not at all like movies, where movies is so broad that they come back to it all the time because they have so much material to pull from. I mean, recently we got this Goku's equipped, the green Goku. We got Hero Tapion, so there's some Wrath of the Dragon stuff. We got Path to Power Goku and Roshi, and then Android 8 from that movie as well. We got Ultra Super Janemba. We got LF Pycon Gogeta. So like, they can do so much with this. The only actual group that they come back to, probably more than they should, is Future, and even then, Future hasn't actually got a ton of stuff this year. They've gotten a few releases that are really strong, and that's kind of it. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if we see Legends Festival 2021 Part 2 with Future and GT being the split there. Personally, for me, unless they do something where they're doing original animations like I was saying, or some wacky combination like, I don't know, just Goku Black and Zamasu together or something, unless they do some stuff like that, I don't really know how hype I would be for this. So that's part of my formula, is producing something like that, but also finding a way to put their new spin on it that I'm expecting them to have, where they probably try to introduce some more stuff. And so I wanted to come back to GT as a little bit of a springboard, and then from here go back to Dokkan, because Dokkan has some of that stuff too. Dokkan just has so much stuff that Legends just does not have, like Goku and Vegeta Jr., things like that, that are also things that are on the table, which you would expect from a long-running game. But I would say, I think this type of idea could be super clean for Legends, where they get a character like this, or a variation of a character like this. Spirit Bomb absorbed Goku, or not absorbed, excuse me, Spirit Bomb GT Kid Goku could be so awesome, man. He's a character that I would love to see in this grouping. And also, when you look at GT, there's still some stuff for them to add, yes, like I was just saying, but there's not a ton of like high-end, you know, characters that can put out that may or may not be worthy of being a celebration release. And I think the thing is, when you put out a banner like this, or with some of those other characters, you're not particularly expecting them to solo carry, because they're going to put out 2 banners, things like that, like they did here. They're not expecting one banner to solo carry. What they'll do is they'll put out a banner that may or may not perform as well as another one at the same time as another one, right? So keep that in mind overall. But I think that there's a lot of possibilities for that grouping, because they never update it to where it's at a point where they could go back to it whenever they feel like it, and then just they honestly, if I'm being completely honest, they can remake a lot of the stuff here. They could give a new Majub. They could I'm already talking about them remaking Gogeta. The reality is that most of these characters are over a year old. They're 2 years old, etc. They can remix this entire grouping and kind of just do stuff whatever they want to do and have it work out successfully. Also, Omega Shenron doesn't have his own platinum equip like Goku and Vegeta do, so I think that's another opportunity for them to apply a buff to this team, and in a more free-to-play / player-friendly manner. So those are the things that I really am looking forward to when it comes down to this celebration. I wanted to go ahead and throw a bone out to a couple of other teams that I think could potentially be highlighters, or groups that I think could be potentially powerful. And we'll start off with movies again, because like I said, movies is a grouping that they always can come back to. They have a lot of stuff for movies, and it just is what it is. They could probably drop some more superhero stuff. There's some stuff that we don't have, like Goten and Trunks, or Boy, if they give me a Krillin or 18, I'd be all in for that. Obviously, that wouldn't be a headliner. There are other headliner villains that we don't have. Like, I know there's also a contingent of fans that are looking forward to Garlic Jr. or some of those guys, right? So they could do stuff like that. They could also do so many other things with movies. You just got to use your imagination ultimately. And then ultimately, also, they can remix and remake a lot of the older characters here too. It just is what it is, because the game being 5 years old is a game where they can just kind of do that. Now, I also wanted to throw a bone over to Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. I actually would not be opposed to them doing a part 1, part 2 banner where they have God, Goku, and Vegeta, and then they also have Super Saiyan Blue versions of them on the other banner. It doesn't have to be part 1, part 2, but, you know, part 1 dual banners where you have Gods and then you have Super Saiyan. Well, it wouldn't be God on one banner for Vegeta because he wasn't God in that arc, right? But anyway, you get my point. They could also, hey, screw it, do a what if make-believe version of the character. Put God, Goku, and Vegeta as a tag, and then put another God, Super Saiyan God version of them as tags, different character on another banner. They could do stuff like that too. But above all else, I thought it was interesting that we had the possibility, the opportunity to get Battle of God stuff semi-recently. I mean, I did prediction videos around it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's probably next likely, but it's probably not happening, and what I said was going to happen wound up happening, as typically is the case. Anyway, this is so disappointing. This is so unbelievably disappointing. All of these characters are from the first year, except for the free green Goku, who we don't care about. All these characters are from like the first year of the game. This is so unbelievably disappointing. So this is and again, none of these characters are from the movie. This is all Dragon Ball Super anime stuff. I don't know, but this is disappointing. There is so freaking much potential here, and I'm not even gonna bother pulling up Resurrection F because it's equally disappointing, although they had some more releases like those first anniversary characters and stuff. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just throw this bone here, and this will be our last one. So if you guys enjoyed the video, like I said, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, let me know what you guys think they could potentially do. But I think ultimately, to summarize, a release Ultra that's coming in part 2 is most likely gonna happen. Having it be one of the characters like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, I think would be a huge bonus. And if it wasn't clear, my perfect plan for DBL to release the ultimate and best Legends Festival is for them to do original stuff. And since an Ultra will be releasing soon, click the video on the screen now to find out which ones are the best ones.